I've had quite a few inquiries, especially recently, about the Scratchy'Corner test that we do. This is a map prepared by one of the viewers. We've got this map which has got the orange points, and we've got another one done by a viewer which is the blue points, but this one came to hand first. What's that tat underneath? So, we start on the left of the map and we end up at there. We're somewhere around there. So the end of the lane is there. At which point it's about half a mile. The 6 mile test ends at that roundabout. Mr. Chippy seems to drop it off at 5.8 miles. It makes no difference. That's what we do. So this is our difficult terrain test. I've been out with the camcorder and I've recorded at each of the points starting at Ancaster petrol station. We're trying to explain why. Now, my friend, our mutual friend, Mr. Chip and myself, Mark, G7NDJ, worked with me at Nottingham Radio for a decade, and until I moved on to be a junior partner at Compass Communications in Bradford, which is where Mr. Chippy was working. And then when we decided to close that business, because of my late mother being terminal ill with motor neuron disease at the time, we've just done things mail order from here. So, these aren't in the correct order, and that's no reflection on the person who's kindly done this. So, end of the lane, Ancaster service station, top of the hill, Scratchy'Corner, Wilsford level crossing, the Kelby turn, the Grayleys turn, and Mr. Chippy goes down there, parks up about there these days and does the 5 mile low power test. Don't think that's going to be very good when we have leaves back on the trees. I'm recording this at the end of February. Then we have Roresby level crossing, and then we've got the test official end at the roundabout. So when we're at the end of the lane, really it's just a changeover point from my bench to the video from the car. Only when we're doing really short range walkie-talkies would end of the lane be relevant, and they'd be, like the 200 milliwatt semi-toy ones. So by the time we get to Ancaster petrol station, we're about 2/3 of the mile away, and between here, let's just see if we can zoom in a bit. So by the time we get to here, we've got this large wooded area between where I am and there. So you've already got this lower down, you've already got that in a valley, and you've got all this wooded, there's acres of woodland there. And then there's a holiday camp called Woodland Waters. The area we use, which I've told many times before, is a Con 99 or similar, and without the ground plane kit, it mounted just 6 feet above the gutter point of a single story building, which is breeze block and brick construction. The breeze block has a high metal content, and then we have a apex concrete tiled roof, which is quite steep, and so the aerial is the back of the building, and the top only just peeps up over the top of the apex. So in other words, it's broadside into the building, so we're losing power there. And this is all deliberate. We've got another area which is connected to the base station, which is free from any parts of the building. That's better range, but that's not why we do this. We do this for repeatability, to make it quite difficult to do. It'd be no good sending Mr. Chippy 35 miles to Nottingham top of the hill. We'd get through on nearly every set from 35 miles away, but that doesn't prove anything. So then by the time we get to Ancaster Crossroads, once again we've got the wooded area in between, that's a mile away. We've also starting to get some of the big buildings at Ancaster, which is a ex-Roman fort town. It's now a village. Is it about 10,000 population, something like that? So you've got the big 1,000-year-old church, where I'm organist, he hastens to add. And you've got that, and you've got the former rectory, all big stone buildings in the way, plus woods. So that's that. You then start to come up the hill, and of course that's going to be quite good, because to some extent the signal's going to go over the top, except where we get to these trees. Sometimes we use the quarry when we're doing walkie-talkies, which is there. Then he drops down the hill, and you've got Scratchy'Corner. Mark came up with that term because his entertainment radio used to go out in the car, and we could never chat on either ham radio or CB successfully from Scratchy'Corner. In fact, there used to be radio ham at the bottom. I never know how he got out radio-wise. So you've got this umbrella effect. So you like that, aren't you? I'm there, you've got this hill, and then Scratchy'Corner's there. So with this hill in between, it's just going over the top of you, and that's why it works so well as a test. So we'll move the map along. So that's Scratchy'Corner. Then it starts to come up a bit, but you've got cutting into the hillside here to accommodate the road. So you've got cliffs this side, left hand side. So once again the signal path is spoilt by having the cliffs and the hill. Obviously the signals start to come over the hill as you get further away, because the umbrella effect disappears. By the time we get to Grayley's turn, things are slightly improved. And then he goes up Rawsby Drove a bit, reverses into the Farmer's Field entrance, and does the 400 milliwatt test. He comes back down, and he goes to Rawsby Level Crossing. And the idea between Rawsby Level Crossing is I must always be transmitting as he passes the petrol station, which of course kicks out loads and loads of interference. And so it breaks up my signal. That's deliberate. And some sets are more readable than others, which just goes to prove how they have got less spurious emissions, and all the power is concentrated where we want it on 27 megs. We could show that on a spectrum analyzer, but this is more fun. And then the test we peter out about 5.8 miles just short of the roundabout. So that's what it's about. It's carefully chosen. We have in the past tried other routes. We used to go the opposite way towards Honington, and it didn't work for us. So just zoom back out again. Just go to our normal memory position one on the camera. So there you go. The first one we're stopping at is Ancaster petrol station. I'm not here to show the petrol station, but it's just that it's a flat piece, and we've got woods between us, which is 2/3 of a mile away, and here. So this is the main road that he goes along. So the idea of this is that it's pretty close, but it nevertheless isn't that easy because of the wooded area. So here we are at Ancaster Crossroads, the second one. It's lucky we're not going left because the road's closed. So he goes straight forwards at this point. And this is the opposite direction, which you don't normally see. So you can see the first hill which he goes up. It's not very hilly in Lincolnshire at all, but that's the first hill, and of course Scratchy'Corner's at the bottom, which we'll come to in a bit. So just round the corner here, it's the village of Ancaster, and this is one of the churches at which I'm organist. The mound here was where the Roman fort once was, and that was a man-made thing. That must have taken a lot of people. I expect the word is slaves to dig that and make a moat. By moat I don't mean filled with water, but just to put the fort on top of the hill for easier protection. This is where we approach the top of the hill. The lane goes up and down to Ancaster, then the main road on the left, which is the one which Mr. Chippy will be driving up. I'll just turn round, and here's the top of the hill. So here we are at Scratchy'Corner. You've seen this on the body cam videos when Mr. Chippy comes to here. I think it's called Town End, this part. So we've just come down that hill, and then he goes on this main road. So the radio signals go right over our heads here, and that's why it's Scratchy'Corner. It's my friend Mark, G7NDJ. He used to refer to this as Scratchy'Corner. Even your entertainment radio goes out. So it's a really good test. That in front is Wilsford Level Crossing. But one of the things, apart from it being the next mile, it's the 3 mile point, is that when we look backwards, you'll see this is a cutting in the rock. There you can see Wilsford Church, Wilsford being in the dip, which is where Scratchy'Corner is the far end of the church. So we're nowhere near the top of the hill, the height of the top of the hill, which we previously saw at the what point is that? What kind of 1 3/4 mile point? So you've got this cutting now in the way, and you've got that rock. So again, doesn't make things easy. So this is the Kelby turn. That's the entrance to Rawsby Warren, which is a water table telltale. So he goes down this road, and he will have come from this direction. And there's the road down to Kelby. And over that level crossing. So the idea here, which is now the 4 mile point, is that I'm listening to when he radios back to me. So he'll say, I'm just at the Kelby turn, and I'll say Roger on that. And he will acknowledge that with a Roger. Now, if the squelch opens or not is about 50-50. And it's a squelch sensitivity extra test. Just turned off to the 5 mile point. This isn't on the route where we do the low power test. You'll recognise the bus stop, which he passes, and he pulls up about 150 yards forward of where, just where that van is 4321 now. So I just want to show you that it's pretty clear, but there are trees there, and once there's leaves on the trees, I don't expect we'll get the 400 milliwatt test anymore. But we're still quite flooded here with having had quite a lot of rain, more than usual. Hang on, here's the obligatory ambulance. So here we are at Rawsby Level Crossing, if we go over the traffic and the wind noise, and then we've got the petrol station, which is the far side where the interference is. So the idea is that he says he's going over level crossing. I talk back to him so that he's passing the petrol station, all the computer and pump equipment knocks out the signal, and as to how much it knocks out the signal, it's always interesting. And some sets you don't hear anything, and because of the obliteration, and others you hear a little bit. So it's just an interesting bit for how pure the 27 meg signal is. I know we've got a spectrum analyzer, but it's interesting to hear it. So he's come from the opposite direction, of course, and this is a lay-by that he'll have the body cam on when we do the walkie-talkie test, under which circumstances he will have reached the just over 5.5 miles point. So in the car, we've just passed the petrol station. It's just a little bit up the hill,
And in fact, the 6 mile point is these signs as we approach the roundabout. And that's where the test ends.
So I hope you enjoyed that look at the Scratchy'Corner route and why we do it. And one day we'll go out in the radio van and we'll do a good terrain one. And I'll park somewhere up here past Kelby in the van. And then we will have Mr. Chippy drive something like 14 miles away with some walkie-talkies in a favourable direction and see what we can get through. And we'll do that in the summer. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed that.